We're continuing our working day, and now we're going to discuss Vitalii Markiv case, Ukrainian military serviceman who was detained in Italy. Our speakers are Mr. Antonyshchak, the parliament member, and we also have Father Vasil, from Greek Catholic Church. I would like to remind you that on the 30th of June 2017 in Italy, the representative of Kulchitsky battalion was detained in Italy. Italian party suspects him of participation in this death of Italian citizen Andriy and his Russian counterpart Andriy. We also fought and participated in the establishment of Kulchitsky battalion, and when we received the information, we started preparing the visit to Italy. At this very moment, the leadership of National Guard and National Prosecutor's Office and Ukrainian government started to participate. We immediately sent the documents translated into Italian requested by the Italian Prosecutor's Office. We also sent the request informing about the official visit to Italy. The Italian party was informed. We also informed Mr. Roman Haryainov, the Council of Ukraine, to Milan. We went to Italy and we had a talk with Ukrainian consul. After that, we had a meeting with Councillor Mr. Delaval, and we also met representatives of the Ukrainian community living in Italy. Unfortunately, we couldn't meet Mr. Markiv because of very important reason. When we were talking to the attorney of Mr. Markiv, and this talk lasted for 4 hours, at the end, the counselor understood that our proofs and evidences were important and visible. Italian prosecutor's office cannot have any proof of his guilt. His guilt is the accusations is based on assumptions and by a French journalist who and that cannot be taken, looks pretty strange, because the French journalist confuses the places, locations, time, and all that. But Ukrainian prosecutor's office addressed Ukrainian side, requesting the information about Mr. Markiv and legal assistance, but Ukrainian party didn't gave any adequate answers. So they started criminal proceedings. So he was detained at the suspicion. However, he cannot be tried. Nobody could be tried on suspicion. That we were told by Mr. Markiv's attorney. He is one of the most experienced criminal attorney, defense attorney in Italy. After we discussed all the details, so we talked to his attorney, and he mentioned that he had a lot of cases like that. However, he has never ever seen cases like that. we see that nobody, he has never ever seen such approach from Ukrainian side towards its citizen. So the time is changing. So we stated that we came as representatives, voluntary, as representatives of the Parliament of Ukraine, that we were there to give all the necessary information. We are there to help Italian government to find out the truth, and we tried to persuade, officially stated that Ukrainian side will give all the necessary information, all the appropriate agencies will give all the requested information about the service of Mr. Markiv in the National Guard, and we will provide all the information what was going on in Karachun. From the prosecutor's side, Mr. Zanucelli, well, he is very much offended and has very little trust in the in Ukraine. However, when we visited and stated our good intentions and that we're ready to cooperate with all the Italian authorities, they reconsidered the situation. So the attorney and all the party decided that it was necessary to come to Ukraine because there are witnesses who are ready to testify. And it was very important to be there. The prosecutor should have come here. He agrees that the visit may change a lot. Secondly, the situation was changed after we presented all the necessary document. Markiv was accused, for example, he was accused by prosecutors, by the prosecutor's office and by media. I'm sure that media was funded by the Russians. In particular, they said that Mr. Markiv was a member of illegal military groups. However, we provided the information about establishment of the National Guard, about establishment of the reserve battalion, and we also gave the copy of the that Mr. Markiv gave as the citizen of Ukraine, because he didn't reject Ukrainian citizenship. So we developed the strategy, and it allows the attorney to develop his defense strategy. We expressed we said that we are sorry, expressed our being sorry that Ukrainian prosecutor's office didn't provide all the necessary information. It was back in 2015, and the prosecutor's situation in prosecutor's office was very difficult, and the old previous regime team members were still working. We informed the Italian party about that. About 94% of changes in the prosecutor's office members, and due to our actions, the trust to Ukraine and our activities started being restored. So they nearly agreed to come to Ukraine and collect the necessary evidence. And nowadays, the attorney is now writing the request to prosecutor's office to call me and our team to testify, officially testify in court. We hope that within a week we will have the official requests. And summing up our discussion with the attorney, we can say that he hopes So I would say he's sure that we are going to win this case. However, we stressed once again that we came there, that we are not interested in who could shoot it, who couldn't shoot it. It's not there for that. We came there as members of parliament, as people who were in Euromaidan with Markiv, who fought together with Markiv, and who has already testified and are ready to testify in favor of Mr. Markiv, and we provided all the necessary documents supporting the information that the first National Guard battalion at that time, now Kulchitsky battalion, that at that time they didn't have mine throwers. That is the key to the success. We summarized, provided all the necessary documents, so we are waiting for the official request to visit Italy. We are here to host Italian side here, and we are going to do our best to free our guy, our person. And the floor is given to my colleague, Kulchitsky. I would like to start with saying thanks. Thanks to Ukrainian people and to our people from the battalion and to the Ukrainian community, to our diaspora. I would like to thank all those who participate in this very pretty bad things which happened to our Ukrainian patriot, Mr. Vitalii Markiv. I would like to also say thank you to Father Pavlo, who agreed to assist us in Italian, Ukrainian translations and assist our communication with Italian party. Few words about the case. After we met our diaspora representatives, and special thanks to them, we expressed our position. I'm sure that Ukraine is going to participate in that, but after we are going to win. So what I'm talking about? I'm talking about the case against Markiv damaged our reputation because our citizen was accused at things he didn't do, and our country is accused of using the soldiers of fortune. Those are absolutely groundless accusations based on the assumptions. It has no grounds for winning this case in court. Before that, we discussed the accusation, the statement of accusation. During we discussed that with our attorney. When we discussed the real situation, we looked through this statement and proved that we ruin all the arguments of the Italian prosecutor's office. Thus, we came to the conclusion that the documents which needs to be translated and filed and submitted to our attorney are being translated. So we started managing this case, and we're sure that we will accomplish this. From my part, I would like to express my gratitude to our members of parliament, because this visit was very important, because people who are there could see that people and government and everywhere in Ukraine are all together. And it was also important for our servicemen, and we are defending the truth. And thus we could clarify the situation and explain. So it was very important for the person, for the serviceman who together with his colleagues defends us. So we express our gratitude to our Ukrainian community who demonstrate our position and protect the reputation of our person. Now let's have make question. So let's I have one question, small question. So one of the main players in the situation is the prosecutor's office. Although that there are a lot of new people in prosecutor's office, is there any chance to punish those who didn't answer properly the request from Italian side? So currently we have our priority to defend our citizen and to release him from Italian jail. I would also like to mention that we, the state of Ukraine, is going to protect its citizens whenever this citizen could be. I would like to stress it. We said that to the diaspora representatives, and it is especially true for those who fight for Ukrainian independence. I want all the Ukrainian servicemen hear it. As to the punishments, I'd like, well, it's probably this question should be asked to put to prosecutor's office. So far, I would like to say thank you to the prosecutor's office and deputy prosecutor general who started actions, and he, in an hour after Mr. Markiv was arrested, he sent official protest against the actions of Italian side, and it was our visit was very much prepared. We did our homework. We came with a collection of evidences and proofs. The Ministry of Interior Affairs helped us. They were working through the night to find the necessary orders. They were translating that in Italian to be on time, and I want to stress once again, Italian attorney surprise. He says that he had never ever seen such concern of a country about their citizens. It might be war lessons. So you mentioned about the other documents which are being prepared now. Is it prepared together with the General Prosecutor's Office? So we are going to make the address of the People's Deputies of Ukraine, members of parliaments. So we are going to say that we were sorry that there was no appropriate cooperation, although we are ready to come to Italy as I witnessed and as member of parliaments. That's the advice of our attorneys. On the other hand, the General Prosecutor's Office is preparing a letter that they are ready to provide all the necessary support and cooperation. The same letter is being prepared by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the National Guard. After that, the Italian side is going to address the ministry about the international legal assistance, and after that, with our joint efforts, the visit of Italian Prosecutor's Office is being prepared. I would like to add, so far, our task is to make our best to make Italian side to visit Ukraine. I witness the location and read all the documents, all the opinion about distances, shooting, and all the necessary military opinions. And it's good to see it at the location where the tragedy occurred. It is going to be the grounds, the fundamentals of the court proofs. It's our number one priority. Colleagues, please, do you have any question? Introduce yourself and ask if you have any. One question. The question is going to be in English.
Зараз тоді технічний нюанс, півхвилинки перерва.
Then very small, please ask. Father is going to translate.
Thank you very much for your for this meeting. It was very interesting, especially for me as Italian. But I have two comments to make about what you said. The first comment is that I think the case of Markiv is the result of the lack of knowledge that Italians have about Ukrainian events. And I'm referring especially to the fact that the family of the journalist was addressing the Ukrainian conflict as civil war, or the fact that the Italian journalists, as you said before, were somehow pro-Russian oriented. And here's my question. Do you think the... Okay. I was... Okay, sorry. Okay. I was saying that the case of Markiv, in my opinion, shows that Ukraine is not investing much in improving the country reputation in Italy. For example, we know that the family of the journalist killed was referring to Ukrainian conflict as civil war, or for example, as you said before, the journalists who are claiming that Markiv was killed by that the journalist was killed by Markiv are somehow pro-Russian oriented. And here's my question: do you think that Ukraine should invest more in the promotion of its image within Italian audience? And the second question is: have you got in touch with the family of the journalist? Because I think they are the real victim of the situation, because they cannot really understand what's going on. From one side, they have Ukrainian authorities claiming that Markiv is innocent, but on the other hand, they are not receiving any information about what was going on at that time in Ukraine. Thank you very much for your answer.
Дякую за запитання, дуже слушне.
Thank you for your question. It's very, very grounded. But first of all, we came to Italy in Markiv case, not in the case of the murder of Italian citizen Rochelle. So our task was to prove innocence of Mr. Markiv. We are protecting our citizens. As to the questions of Ukrainian and Italian, it's the responsibility of Italian and Ukrainian prosecutor's office to investigate the case of murder. As to the meeting with the family, we thought it to be inappropriate, because it was it might be very irritating for the family, because we are not feeling guilty. However, what you mentioned is right. You mentioned the journalists, those journalists who started who put brought this case into visibility. It's French journalist. He started, twice brought this case to court, and twice he failed. And if now French Supreme Court is considering this case, and if it is going to be closed, then the main witness, according to whose assumptions of Markiv killing the journalists, will not be able to testify. I would like to tell you that in Pavia, that's the place where Rochelle lived, and his family lives now. The Russian community is very strong, and as far we received that information, that immediately Russian community started contacting with Mr. Rochelle's family, and they started anti-Ukrainian propaganda. Our people also contacted them. They participated in the mourning and in the funerals. As to the investment into better understanding, into development of the public opinions in Italy. So, you know, we are at war. Everything what we have, we are investing in war and in army and on social support. Unfortunately, we do not have the resources which has the Russian Federation. We cannot afford buying politicians, journalists throughout Europe, and we can't start lying campaign. We don't have fundings, and it's not our policy. So that is why the visits we made, and due to the contacts of due to the network of our diaspora, and as you might know, that more than 220,000 Ukrainians who live and work there. And those Ukrainians, through their network, so most of them live with Italian families, helps the Italian families. So they promote our culture, our customs, and also the innocence of Mr. Markiv. As I mentioned, Ukrainian diaspora was very much aware and was very active in this case. A couple of words more. I would like to pay special attention, to draw your attention to the Rochelle case, to his defense people. Two prosecutors have to work together because we are at war with Russian Federation. We have Russian army there, and it was proved many times, both with documents and with those detained. And on the front line, when both parties both sides are firing, is create the situation when people are getting killed. We have more than 10,000 Ukrainians killed. Unfortunately, those are bad things, and those bad things are happening to us, to our Ukrainian guys. That is why I personally cannot provide any facts or express any opinions on that. However, I knew for sure that those journalists who visited Mountain Karachun were absolutely safe there. We protected them, we provided them. However, they were accredited with Ukrainian authorities, they were guaranteed protection, and nowadays they are quite safe and alive.
First of all, we come in Milan to recognize for all of us that we are together as a mankind, Ukrainian people, Ukrainian church, Ukrainian politic. So, and we want to demonstrate it for our mankind that the soldier, our soldier, we was reacted for defend our territory and true. So that's why I think so that in the future we will help for him, and the truth and the rightnesses will win. So thank you very much for this question, and
Юлія Вольховська, Ukrainian Crisis Media Center. Do you have any information as to... Well, media mentioned that on July 17th, the first interrogation of Markiv was conducted. In 5 days, the new hearing is going to be held. Do you have any idea of the key dates and key developments? Next court hearing is going to be held not earlier than in September, because we need to take certain investigative measures. As I mentioned, our attorney is going to develop the to prepare the visit to Ukraine. Yes, the interrogation was held, and we yesterday talked with the attorney, and we coordinated this what was said and information. I told, as a head of coordinator of Pulchitsky battalion, gave the information about what's going on there, and Mr. Markiv told what was going on from the his viewpoint of as a just a soldier. So the information was congruent and it was okay. So out of the press will learn that Markiv should have had his meeting with his family on the 18th of July. Yes, the second meeting should have been today. However, it was postponed because of technical problems. I think that the meeting will be held either tomorrow or on Monday. I would like to draw your special attention to the work of our consulate. Our consuls were not allowed to see the Mr. Markiv at first, but now the situation changed. The family is allowed to visit him as well. Mr. Markiv is in a good shape. He knows that his co-combatant came to Italy, so he hopes for resolving this situation. However, we cannot avoid the court litigation, court hearing. We hope to win. As to why the family meeting was cancelled, because the law works. Only there is a rule that only limited number of persons can visit the jail at certain day. If you cannot make yourself a place in this pool of visitors, then your visit is postponed. If you don't have any questions, so we are looking forward to the new developments in this case, and we hope for the positive outcome as to Mr. Markiv's participation in this case.